Hi, I'm Karina Trotter, and I'm the director of our Welcome and Enrollment Center here for Plano ISD.
Hi, and I'm Jennifer Miley, Executive Director of Student, Family, and Community Services.
All right, Dr. Miley, so what does Hispanic heritage mean to you, and how has your heritage shaped who you are today?
Well, that's a great question. My parents grew up in a time where students were punished for speaking Spanish in school. Because of that, they felt it was better for their children to learn English as the primary language. So it wasn't until I was older that I realized the value and importance of being bilingual and using language as a tool to help others break down barriers. Today, I'm proud of being from a family that values education, hard work, and determination.
Awesome.
So, Karina, what is something about yourself that very few people know?
Okay, I think few people know that I'm actually a first generation immigrant that came from Venezuela when I was a seventh grader, and I got here with my dad, my mom, and my two siblings. And also another thing about me is that I'm deaf in one ear, so it took me a lot longer to learn English while I was going through school.
Oh, well, thanks for sharing.
Yeah. So what is something you wish others knew about Hispanic heritage?
Well, I'd love for others to know about all the incredible contributions that came from those from Hispanic descent. Whatever the contribution, whether it was big or small, it made the road for others that much easier. So it has shown us, regardless of the roadblocks that you encounter, there is nothing that you can't overcome. And many of those incredible trailblazers made huge sacrifices for us, so this isn't something that should be taken lightly.
That's amazing. That's great.
So, what would you say was the greatest influence on your career?
You know, I think back of things that have occurred throughout my life and where I am now, and I think of two things. One of them was my very first ESL teacher, Miss Alla, when I got here as a seventh grader. So here I was, no English. I had no idea what the classroom was going to look like. But that moment that I walked into that classroom, and it was a class full of kids. I was week 2 of school when I started, and she pointed out to where my desk was, and she had on my desk a T-shirt with the Venezuelan flag on it. So talk about feeling so welcomed into that classroom from this lady that I had no idea who she was or anything, but Miss Ala truly made me feel so welcomed and into that new classroom that was full of so many different cultures in there. And then the other one that I can think of is as I was a young adult and I had just finished my degree in psychology. And I really didn't have a direction of where to go, but I had started my first job as a paraprofessional in an enrollment center. And there was this Mr. Hunkepeller, he was our director at the time. And he said, this is where, this is the different paths you can take. And he took the time to take me and kind of served as a role model to show me what I could do and become a teacher and then become an administrator and be able to come back and serving the population in an enrollment center. So I think those two were really critical influences on my career, and I think that's really led me to where I'm at today.
Wow. Well, teachers, have such a great impact on students, and I'm glad that you had a great one to help guide you as well.
Yeah, always carry her in me for sure. All right, Dr. Miley, so what advice would you give to others of Hispanic or Latinx heritage?
Well, that's a great question, Karina, and I think, you have to be aware of your biases because they can cloud your beliefs and help you to continue to perpetuate the status quo. So I really feel strongly that it's our obligation to carry the torch from those before us and to continue to pave the way for those that are behind us. And really just making sure that you're not ashamed of who you are or of your unique gifts that you bring to the table, because we all add value from our unique perspectives.
That's so true. And I think that kind of leads to what I was thinking about, how did the place I grew up, what that influence meant to who I am as a Latin American, and what you mentioned there about, the unique gift that we all bring to the table. It's so true. So here I am I came from a different country. In my classroom it was mostly students from Central America, from Mexico, but then just seeing how diverse we really are in taking in the culture from every different country and being able to celebrate that's amazing to me with Hispanic Heritage Month.
Awesome.
Now, how do you feel about breaking barriers in the workplace?
Well, anyone that knows me knows that I'm all about busting barriers. And so, there are barriers everywhere, but so are opportunities. And so, we have to keep our eye on the prize and work hard. The hard work of those before us means that equality is in reach. And, we've got to be grateful for the opportunities that we have, but mad enough to keep shaking things up and shaking up the status quo, and whether it's whatever that barrier looks like or whatever that obstacle is in the way to keep fighting and to keep moving forward. So that brings us to Karina. What advice would you give to young Latin professionals who are looking to get into the education profession?
The advice that I would give really truly goes back to, thinking back through your own unique skills and your set of strengths, and how you can bring that into the classroom, into those schools, into the campuses, to be able to share that knowledge with others, to become role models to all those other. I think back, and I had so many role models growing up, and then just knowing that we can become a role model for somebody else and make a difference in their lives. And at the same time, the difference everybody else will make in your life is just amazing. So just to go for it, and to know that it's truly a special vocation to go into education. So that would be my advice. Now, what about you? If you could go back in time and speak to yourself or a family member, what advice would you give them?
That is such a great question, and I think if I could go back in time and speak to myself, I would say stop worrying so much about what you think other people are thinking about you, and to worry more about just being authentic and true to yourself, and be proud of who you are.
Love that.
All right. Good job, Karina. Thanks, y'all.